Tonight, we begin with a battle inside the Democratic Party that sources say is tearing leadership apart. A battle between caution and conviction, between strategy and principle, between those who want to wait and those who say waiting is no longer an option. The clamor for Trump's impeachment is rising in town halls across America, rising in phone calls flooding congressional offices, rising in a grassroots movement that Democratic strategists say can no longer be ignored. And now, with midterms approaching, the party faces a decision that could change everything. To understand what's happening right now, what's happening in closed-door meetings on Capitol Hill, in strategy sessions that stretch past midnight, in conversations that sources describe as increasingly tense, you need to understand the pressure, because this isn't coming from pundits. This isn't coming from cable news talking heads looking for ratings. This isn't coming from political operatives playing games. This is coming from voters, Democratic voters, the base, the people who knocked on doors and made phone calls and waited in line for hours to vote. The people who believed they were sending representatives to Washington to hold this president accountable, and those people, according to Democratic officials speaking to multiple outlets, are demanding action, not next year, not after some investigation concludes, not after some perfect political moment arrives. Now, impeachment. The word that Democratic leadership has tried to avoid, the word that strategists have called politically dangerous, the word that, according to sources inside the party, is now impossible to escape. Because the clamor isn't dying down, it's getting louder, and the midterms are getting closer. Now, for months, there had been a strategy, a careful, calculated strategy that Democratic leadership believed would thread an impossible needle. Don't talk about impeachment. Focus on kitchen table issues. Let the investigations proceed. Quietly, don't give Republicans ammunition. Don't energize the Trump base. Don't take the bait. It was disciplined. It was strategic. And according to pollsters who advised the party, it was working. But something changed. Sources say it started in the town halls. Representatives going home for recess, expecting questions about health care and jobs, instead facing crowds demanding to know, why isn't Trump impeached yet? What are you waiting for? What does he have to do before you act? One Democratic congressman, speaking on background, described it this way: I've never seen anything like it. The anger, the frustration, people who have supported me for years looking at me like I've betrayed them. And it wasn't just one district. It wasn't just progressive strongholds. According to party officials tracking constituent feedback, the pattern was emerging everywhere. Phone calls to congressional offices spiked, emails flooded inboxes, social media campaigns targeting individual Democrats went viral. The base was mobilizing, and their message was unmistakable: impeach now, or face consequences at the ballot box. So what are Democrats actually debating? What are the arguments being made behind closed doors? And why is leadership so divided? According to sources familiar with the internal discussions, there are three distinct camps. Camp 1, the cautious. These are the strategists, the pollsters, the members from swing districts who remember 1998, who remember how Republican overreach on Clinton's impeachment backfired, who believe that impeachment without removal, which is almost certain given the Republican Senate, would be politically disastrous. Their argument, according to sources, goes like this: we can't remove him. We don't have the votes in the Senate. So impeachment becomes a show trial that energizes his base, divides our coalition, and hands him a talking point about Democratic overreach. Wait for the election, they say. Let voters decide. Don't give Trump the fight he wants. Camp 2, the constitutionalists. These are the members who believe impeachment isn't about politics. It's about principle. It's about the oath they swore. It's about history and the Constitution and the precedent being set for future presidents. Their argument, according to officials present in these discussions, is equally forceful. If this president hasn't committed impeachable offenses, then the word has no meaning. If we don't act now, we're telling every future president that there are no limits, that norms don't matter, that the Constitution is just a piece of paper. The politics be damned, they say. This is about right and wrong. And Camp 3, the one sources say is growing fastest, the pragmatists. These members have a different calculation. They look at the base. They look at the enthusiasm gap. They look at what happened when Democrats tried to play it safe before. Their argument: the base wants impeachment. The base drives turnout. If we suppress the base to appeal to moderates, we lose both. We lose the moderates who weren't going to vote for us anyway, and we lose the base who stays home because they feel betrayed. Impeachment isn't a risk, they say. It's the only way to generate the energy we need. And according to sources tracking the internal debate, this third camp is winning converts every day. The pressure campaign. is intensifying on multiple fronts. First, the grassroots organizations, according to party officials, groups that had been focused on voter registration and issue advocacy have pivoted. Impeachment is now the message. Ads are running, petitions are circulating. Primary challenges are being threatened against members who don't support impeachment proceedings. The activists, sources say, are done waiting. Second, the Progressive Caucus, members who have long supported impeachment are now organizing, whipping votes, putting pressure on colleagues in private conversations and in carefully worded public statements. According to sources, at least 36 Democrats have now publicly called for impeachment proceedings to begin. That number, officials say, grows every week. Third, the media environment, every new revelation, every court ruling, every instance of administration stonewalling, it all becomes fuel for the impeachment argument. See, supporters say, this is exactly why we need to act. The evidence is mounting, the obstruction is obvious, what more do we need? And Democratic leadership, according to sources, is struggling to maintain the cautious line. Because here is what those sources say leadership understands. You can only tell people to wait for so long. You can only say trust the process so many times before the trust runs out. And the trust, according to party officials tracking, member sentiment is running out fast. The speaker has been masterful at managing competing factions before, but this sources say is different. This pressure isn't going away. It isn't diminishing with time. It's building every day, every week, every new headline that reminds voters why they're angry. And the midterms are months away, months of town halls, months of constituent meetings, months of facing voters who want to know, where do you stand? So what does this mean for the Democratic Party? What does it mean for the midterms? And what does it mean for the country? Let's start with the political calculus. According to strategists on both sides, the conventional wisdom says impeachment hurts Democrats. It energizes the Republican base, it gives Trump a foil, it shifts the conversation from issues where Democrats have advantages to constitutional territory where the outcome is uncertain. But according to other analysts whose voices are getting louder in party circles, the conventional wisdom might be wrong. Here's why. Midterm elections are about turnout. The party that generates enthusiasm wins. And right now, according to polling experts, Democratic enthusiasm has a ceiling. A ceiling created by voters who feel like the party isn't fighting hard enough. These voters aren't going to switch to Trump, but they might stay home. They might not volunteer. They might not donate. They might not bring that extra energy that makes the difference in close races. Impeachment, these analysts argue, removes the ceiling. It tells the base, we hear you, we're fighting, this matters, and the Republican base. According to these strategists, they're already energized. Trump keeps them energized. Nothing Democrats do or don't do changes that. So why sacrifice your own base trying to avoid something you can't prevent anyway? It's a compelling argument, and according to sources, it's the argument that's changing minds. But there's a deeper question here, a question that goes beyond electoral strategy. What is the Democratic Party for? Is it a vehicle for winning elections? A calculating machine that weighs every decision by polls and focus groups and electoral maps? Or is it something more? A party of principle? A party that believes in things, in accountability, in the rule of law, in the Constitution, even when those beliefs are politically inconvenient? That's the question being debated in living rooms and congressional offices. That's the question keeping strategists up at night. That's the question that will define not just the midterms, but the identity of the party for years to come. And according to sources close to leadership, there's no consensus yet, no clear answer, just a growing recognition that a choice must be made. Let's talk specifically about what impeachment means for November. According to electoral analysts, the midterm landscape is historically favorable for Democrats. The president's party typically loses seats. Trump's approval numbers are underwater. Generic ballot polling shows Democratic advantages. But elections aren't won on paper. They're won on enthusiasm, on turnout, on which side wants it more. And that's where the impeachment question becomes critical. According to pollsters who have studied the issue, there are 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, Democrats don't pursue impeachment. The base feels betrayed, enthusiasm drops, volunteers who would have knocked on doors stay home, donors who would have given generously hold back. The blue wave that seemed inevitable becomes a blue trickle. Republicans, meanwhile, stay unified. Trump keeps them energized with his usual tactics, and races that should have been easy become competitive. Scenario 2, Democrats pursue impeachment aggressively. The base is electrified, enthusiasm surges, volunteers flood into campaigns, small dollar donations spike, the energy that carried 2018 multiplies, but swing voters, according to some models, get nervous. Moderate Republicans who might have stayed home come out to defend the president. Some independents who were leaning Democratic pull back. It's a trade-off, more base turnout, potentially less moderate support. Scenario 3, Democrats split the difference. They hold hearings that are essentially impeachment proceedings without the name. They investigate aggressively. They make the case publicly. But they stop short of a formal vote. According to strategists who advocate this approach, it gives the base what they want: action, accountability, fighting spirit without the political risks of a Senate trial that ends in acquittal. But critics of this approach, sources say, call it the worst of all worlds, too much action for moderates. Not enough for the base, a half measure that satisfies no one. Which scenario will Democrats choose? According to sources inside leadership, the decision hasn't been made, but time is running out and the pressure to choose is mounting by the day. So what happens next? What should you be watching for as this drama unfolds? First, watch the statements. Every time a previously cautious Democrat comes out for impeachment, it shifts the calculation. According to sources tracking the count, they're approaching a tipping point, a number where leadership can no longer hold the line, where the momentum becomes unstoppable. Watch who speaks, watch the language they use. Watch whether they say inquiry or proceedings or impeachment directly. Second, watch the town halls. Congress is heading home again. Members will face their constituents. And according to party officials, what happens in those rooms will matter enormously. If members come back to Washington saying the pressure was overwhelming, saying they can't survive re-election without supporting impeachment, that changes the math. If they come back saying they successfully calmed voters down, that gives leadership more room. Watch the reports. Watch the videos that emerge. Watch how members look when they're facing the voters who elected them. Third, watch the speaker. She has been the steady hand, the voice of caution, the master tactician who has navigated seemingly impossible situations before. But according to sources, even she is feeling the pressure now. Even she is reconsidering. Even she may be moving. If the speaker moves, it's over. The dam breaks, the party follows. Watch her words, watch her tone, watch for any signal, however subtle, that her position is shifting. And fourth, watch the polls. If public opinion on impeachment moves significantly, if the numbers that have been stable start climbing, that changes everything. Politicians respond to pressure. And polling pressure is the most powerful pressure of all. According to analysts, the numbers have been ticking upward, slowly, steadily, not dramatically, but consistently. If that trend continues, if it accelerates, the political calculation that has kept leadership cautious simply evaporates. The Democratic Party is at a crossroads. That's not hyperbole. That's not drama. That's the reality described by sources inside the party, by strategists who have spent decades navigating these waters, by members who have never seen anything quite like this moment. The clamor for impeachment isn't going away. It's rising every day, every week, with every new revelation about this administration. And the question Democrats face isn't whether the clamor is legitimate. Most of them believe it is. The question is what to do about it. Do you listen to the strategists who say wait? Who say the politics aren't right? Who say patience is the smart play? Or do you listen to the voters, the base? The people who sent you to Washington and are now demanding you take a stand? Do you calculate or do you act? That's the choice. That's what leadership is wrestling with right now. That's what will determine not just the midterms, but the future of the Democratic Party itself. And the clock is ticking. The midterms are coming, and every day of delay is another day. The clamor grows louder. History is watching. The voters are watching. And very soon, Democrats will have to answer a question they can no longer avoid. Where do you stand? If you believe accountability matters, if you believe the American people deserve answers about what Democrats are going to do, then subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that notification bell, because this story is developing rapidly and the decisions being made now will shape the midterms and beyond. Drop a comment below. Do you think Democrats should pursue impeachment? Is it worth the political risk? What would you tell your representative if you had the chance? And share this video. Share it with everyone who cares about the future of this country. Everyone who wants to understand what's really happening inside the Democratic Party. The mainstream media gives you sound bites. We give you the full story. We'll see you tomorrow.